Hello and welcome, Killer Off-Road Hobbies fans. And today we're not doing RC. Today we're doing maintenance on the old Duramax here. Alright, so checking over here, what we got is a bunch of MOOG, I believe it's called, steering parts. We've got the idler arm holder, we've got the idler arm here, and then we've got the Pitman arm there. All of my stuff is really loose, and just give it a little wiggle. I got it jacked up, but check this out. See how that's moving? That's not good. So it's all worn out, of course, because I run 37-inch tires. I do have the kryptonite tie rods already, but I will say, for the price of all of this right here, all this right here was $430, even with the puller right there for the Pitman arm. All of this was $430, and just the Pitman arm alone from kryptonite was like $470. So I went with MOOG, I believe it's called, or MOOG, however you want to say it. But hopefully it does live up to solving my problem. As anybody who's ever owned or thought about owning a Duramax knows, one of the main things with Duramaxes is because they have the independent front suspension, they have a lot of suspension, like a lot of front end problems in general. Now I do have to do further repairs to this. I do have the CV boot that has gone out right here, so that will be next weekend. You can see this upper one is really cracked and everything. It's about ready to go too. So that's going to be next weekend. I'm going to replace that, and my transmission cooler lines are starting to leak. I'm going to do that next weekend as well. But today we're going to focus on the steering stuff, because to me that's more important. So here's your Pitman arm right here, this guy. I have the 3 spline or 3 groove, whatever you want to call it. You do have to make sure you get the right one, because there is a 3 groove and a 4 groove. I have a 3 groove, and the way you can do that, the way you can see which one you have, is this is just a little rubber, basically grommet right here. You stick a screwdriver in there and you push it up, and you can see the splines in there. So I have the 3 groove. So this is the Pitman arm right here. This is the steering box it's connected to, and then the drag link is back there. And although the Pitman arm itself doesn't really go out, the ball joint on the far end of it does. So that's the problem with these things. That's what we have to replace. That's why we have to replace the whole assembly. And then over here you have your idler arm and your idler arm holder. So here's your idler arm holder, held on by these 2 bolts, and here's your idler arm. And as you can see, it's real fun, nice and roomy in here. And then the idler arm ball joint is on the far side. So what we're going to do first is take out these 10mm bolts here. And last night I hosed everything down with penetrating oil, just to hopefully make it easy on myself. Because from what I hear, these are no fun. But these are 10mm bolts here. There's 2 here, 1 here and 1 on the far side, 1 here and 1 on the far side. I'm going to pull those out, get this track bar down and out of the way, and hopefully start working on everything else. Alright, so just to go over the tools I have before we get started, I've got my air impact here, I've got a pickle fork right here, a few extensions, a little knuckle extension for tight spaces. I've got my small breaker bar. I have a bigger one if I need one. I've got a mini sludge. This is a 3.5 pound to go ahead and hit that pickle fork with. If I need bigger, I'll go bigger. If I need smaller, I'll go smaller. Pretty much everything is 21mm. So I've got a 21mm wrench, and then I've got the, of course, the Pitman arm puller right there, and you know, just various other little things, nothing really. I did jack it up and put it on jack stands. Now what I am going to try and do that most people don't is I'm going to try and leave the tires on it. I don't really want to pull the tires off, and I have access to my my power steering pump bolts right there. so I don't think I really need to pull the tire off. Pretty much that would be the only thing I would think if you didn't have a nice lift like I do, getting to those bolts. Those are 21 millimeter as well. And what I hear is you pull, there's one hidden back behind here, but what I hear is you pull 2 of those out, you leave 1 loose, so you can actually turn your steering box down and get a better shot at that pitman arm. But now I'm going to hop into it, and I'll give you an update when I got the track bar off. I'll get a light out here so you guys can see a little bit better. But I'll get the track bar off and pull off a couple of the nuts and everything, and then show you guys where I'm at. Alright everybody, well, I'm about probably an hour in, and I think I'm incredibly lucky considering what everybody says on like forums and everything, because I'm only an hour in and I have the pitman arm out, I have the idler arm and holder out. What I did do was I took this track bar and I pulled it off on this side so I could drop it all the way down. See all the room I have in here now? Awesome stuff. Now the only trouble I had was getting the idler arm itself pop loose from the drag link back there, and that's why I had to take the tire off. I didn't want to take the tire off, but I did, and I was able to get it. But funny thing was, I was beating on it from this side, from inside the fender well, and then I put it right through here, hit it like 3 times, and it came loose. So funny story actually, which I'm going to put all the new stuff in, and these are actually MOOG right here, the idler arm and the idler arm holder. So I'm actually gonna put the new stuff in and see if I can get like $300 back by taking that back, because that joint is no good. It's got slop in it. So the holder is still probably good, but I'm gonna take it back. But I'm gonna go ahead and install, and look at this, check this out. I didn't even have to open that. When I was beating on the pitman arm with the pickle fork to break it loose from the drag link, it popped off the pitman arm. So I got incredibly lucky, guys. Like I said, I don't know how I got lucky doing this, but I did, because everybody talks about how much of a nightmare it is, and literally I'm like hour and a half in. So I'm gonna put all the new parts in, show everybody, but it's been pretty easy. The only thing I really needed, besides like a 21 millimeter, I didn't even take loose the steering box either. That's one thing. I didn't even have to take the steering box bolts out. I just got incredibly lucky. So the castle nuts, I want to say, what are they? Let's check this out. This is they're 22 millimeter. So the castle nuts are 22 millimeter. All the other stuff, like for the idler arm holder and stuff, they're 21 millimeter. And then the pitman arm bolt, I don't even know. I had to use my biggest crescent wrench to use to get it off. I used a 15-inch crescent wrench. But the bottom bolt on the idler arm was a 24 millimeter. And then to take that to take the track bar out, like I said, was 10 millimeters on top, and then I pulled that long bolt out, which was a 15 millimeter. So I'm gonna go ahead, put this back together. Sorry, my kids are riding around, and I did zip tie my my intercooler tube up because it was just hanging down. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and button this back up and show you guys what it's like. Like I said, it's been really easy for me, but don't think it will be for you, because I don't know, I've heard horror stories, I've read horror stories, so I think I'm just getting lucky here. Maybe this was done not too long ago and they used MOOG on the one side and went OEM, or they just replaced the idler arm. I'm not exactly sure, I've only had this truck for 2 years, but it's got 172,000 miles on it now, so she's getting up there. And like I said, the transmission cooler lines are leaking and stuff now too, so I'm gonna have to do that, and I have to replace that driver's side axle right there. I might go ahead and just replace both of them, because the passenger side looks a little worse for the wear too. All right, everybody, I'm gonna get it all buttoned back up and show you what it's like. All right, everybody. Get a little Matthew McConaughey on you guys. But, sorry about the leaf blower sound in the background. But so I got the new Pitman arm on. Nothing's tight yet, and this was kind of a bugger. I put the idler arm on there and then fished it up in there. It took a little bit of maneuvering back and forth over the rail here with that idler arm and pushing down and up on the drag link, but I finally got it in there. I got the castle nut started on the far side. Remember, if you choose to do this yourself, remember to put those grease zerts in the idler arm and the Pitman arm and everything. I did choose for the hose option on the idler arm holder, so I got the hose hooked up and I got it zip tied up in here. Basically, it's easy to do. You just line that up and you can move the drag link around pretty easily, especially with the tires off the ground. So just make sure you jack it up, put it on some jack stands like I have it, and it shouldn't go too crazy hard for you. I would recommend, instead of trying to work around the track bar, I would recommend just taking it out like I did. You know, pull the 4 bolts out and then pull one side off and hang it down here so you have a lot more room. I would definitely suggest that. But as far as it goes, it's a dirty job, lots of grease and everything, but as far as it goes for me, I've been really lucky. Like I said, according to the people on the forums and everything that have done this, a lot of people have had a really hard time, and I'm about 2 hours and 15 minutes into this with filming and everything. So I'm gonna go ahead and get everything buttoned up and show you guys what the finished product looks like. What a thing of beauty. All right, so I am completely done. I got the Pitman arm on there. I dropped it down off the jack stands so that I could like really wrench on everything. But I got the Pitman arm in there. I'm gonna move that sleeve down, but I'm just showing you guys. And then I've got the castle nut on the link back there. That all tightened down with the Carter pin through it. Over here I've got the hose ran, like I said. Everything's all tight now. And it's a little hard to see back in there, but there's the idler arm. I went ahead and repainted it. Of course, it's a little cold to paint today, but heck, it's just suspension stuff. It'll be all right. But yeah, so next is going to be me replacing probably both front drive shafts, because they're both looking pretty beat down. Other than that, I need to take it for a test drive, and I'm sure the steering's going to have a lot less slop in it. So if you have all that, pickle fork, you know, a couple of jack stands and stuff, you can easily do this yourself. You know, I'm not overly crazy good at mechanics. I'm just pretty mechanically inclined from watching my dad work on stuff, and I just have, as you can see, just have basic tools here. But yeah, like I said, click that thumbs up or thumbs down. Subscribe if you're new here. Stay tuned to Killer Off-Road Hobbies. We got a bunch more of, you know, working on your own rig or RCing, going out playing in the Razor. I'm gonna start trying to get to like rock crawl things. You know, this is Killer Off-Road Hobbies plural, so I want to include a little bit more than just RCs. All right, everybody, we'll see you later. I'm Gary. Peace.